Hello, my name is Rose Riley, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County. Welcome to our online candidate forum for the November 5th general election. The League is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that promotes voter education and participation, and we host candidate forums to help voters make informed choices. Now, let's hear from the candidates.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Hornberger, and I will be moderating the forum tonight. It's my honor to introduce the three nonpartisan candidates running in the November general election for Washtenaw Community College Trustee: Alex Milshteyn, Diana McKnight Morton, and Eileen Peck. Thank you, candidates, for participating in this forum. We're going to be starting with our opening statements. And now, Ms. Morton, may we have your opening statement?
Hello, my name is Diana McKnight Morton, and I'm running for the re-election for Washtenaw Community College Board Trusteeship. I am originally from Ann Arbor. My children were born here. I went to all the schools here in Ann Arbor. My family has been here since the 30s, and we are very much Michiganders. And we've all attended higher education schools here and higher education.
Thank you, Mr. Milshteyn.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. Lauren, thank you so much for being the moderator this evening, and I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on. This is an important part of our election, and I'm so excited to be here. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Alex Milshteyn. I've had the privilege of serving almost for the past 2 years on the Board of Trustees. I was appointed in 2020. I'm sorry, not 2020, 2022. To serve for a member who departed the board. I'm not a stranger to WCC. WCC has been a part of my life for many, many years. When my family immigrated from the Ukraine, when I was 8 years old, my parents took classes, ESL classes at WCC. From there, I had the opportunity to not only attend, but to also graduate from WCC. And then after that, I served on the board of directors for Washtenaw Technical Middle College, which is a charter high school on the campus of WCC. And I also have had the opportunity to serve on the board of directors of the Washtenaw Community College Foundation. So I'm no stranger to WCC nor the Washtenaw County community. It's an amazing organization, and I'm very excited to continue my service and getting reelected this November.
Thank you, Mr. Milshteyn. And finally, may we have your opening statement, Ms. Peck?
First, I would like to thank the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County for hosting this candidate forum. My name is Eileen Peck, and I am seeking election to the Washtenaw Community College Board of Trustees. I've lived in Washtenaw County since 1989 and in Ypsilanti Township since 1993. I worked in networking at the University of Michigan, the University of Detroit Mercy, and WCC for 20 years and graduated from both the University of Michigan and WCC. I'm seeking election to the Board of Trustees because I believe that WCC has an important role to play in the reduction of poverty and in economic development in Washtenaw County. The United Way classifies nearly 40% of Washtenaw County households as the working poor. Using recent Census Bureau data, 10 to 20% of individuals who live in Washtenaw County cities and in the eastern townships and who have some college or an associate degree live below the federal poverty line. Currently, a person who attended WCC makes an average of $39,000 10 years after first enrollment. We need WCC to focus on preparing programs that will allow students to prepare for high-wage, high-demand jobs, and that will attract new employers and new industries here. WCC must not continue to generate ALICE households. As a trustee, I will advocate for these programs.
Thank you, Ms. Peck. And thank you, candidates. So we will move on now to the questions, and we will start with Ms. Morton for the first question. And the topic is around tuition. And the question is, tuition for in-district Washtenaw Community College students was frozen for 2024 to 2025. How can WCC continue to maintain affordable tuition rates despite increasing expenses?
Well, we understand that, but we've had, our tuition had been reduced before 23, 24. We reduced, we put our tuition at a reduced rate so it would not go up no more than a few percentage points. And that was because we felt that in order for us to service our community members who support us and others, that we needed to have this for our students so that they have affordable tuition. We get our monies allocated from the federals and passed down to the state. The state, there's 31 community colleges in the state of Michigan. And these community colleges rely on the amount of money that we receive from the state so that we can allocate as much money as we can towards our affordable tuition. We get how we handle our tuition for the past 5 years or 6 years, maybe even longer, that we charge only $99 per credit hour. And that's for anyone who wants to have tuition. For out of state, we have our tuition is a little bit higher, especially for international students. The reason why we do that is so that we're able to offset some of the so that we can offset our low tuition for our county residents. We also have partnerships with companies that are willing to, if their employees want to take classes, they will pay for those classes from the company. We have partnerships with automotives. We have partnerships with different community colleges also, so that we're all trying to maintain our low income for our residents.
Thank you. Ms. Peck, same question, please.
One way that WCC can keep tuition low is by not issuing general obligation long-term bonds. These bonds are not backed by taxpayer dollars, so there's no revenue stream that supports these bonds. And what that means is that in order to pay the bond back, in order to pay the interest on the bond, that money needs to come from somewhere, and it comes from the general operating fund. And when the general operating fund falls short, then the school's option is to raise tuition because they didn't seek taxpayer approval for and a separate tax stream for these bonds. So one way to keep tuition low is to ask taxpayers to fund capital projects at WCC. WCC has not asked the taxpayers to fund capital programs in more than 30 years. And the data show that anytime the tuition increase at WCC for students is more than $4, enrollment drops. It's important to notice that while tuition for residents is $99, every single credit hour also has a $15 per hour fee that goes along with it. So the actual tuition and fee rate is $114 for district students. So that's, as a trustee, that's what I would do. I would not vote to support the issue of bonds that don't also have to go in front of the voters to ask for a specific millage to pay those off.
Thank you. Mr. Milshteyn, your response?
Thank you. So as a trustee, I've had the opportunity of having discussions over the years in regards to tuition, and we have mandated that our administration maintain tuition as low as humanly possible. And that is why it is where it is today. And that is something as a trustee, I will continue to do so. We have great institutions surrounding us, but the burden that's put on students with high tuitions that we see of our surrounding institutions is just awful. We see students who are burdened with debt In my day job, I help home buyers and sellers with real estate needs. And oftentimes nowadays, students are coming to me and saying, I can't afford a house. And the reason for that is because they already are paying a mortgage. That mortgage is the amount of their student loans. And so I have demanded of the administration, and I will continue to do so, to keep our tuition low, because we have to do this for our community. As part of my service on the Washtenaw Community College Foundation, we were able to start an emergency fund for our students. And the reason for that, it's not just about tuition. It's not about them just arriving on campus, but it's then surviving on campus. And what I mean by that is students have to pay their tuition, but then they also have to pay their rent. They also have to pay for childcare. They have to pay for other expenses. And it is important, it is imperative that we keep our tuition as low as possible so that we can make sure that students are able to come to college, get an education, and get a job once they leave, and they're successful through their endeavor at WCC. And I'll continue, and it's my promise of my campaign, do everything that's humanly possible to keep our tuition extremely low.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. The next question is around fiscal experience, and this will go to Ms. Peck first. The question is, WCC has a $138 million annual operating budget. What experience or education prepares you to oversee public finances of this magnitude?
As a trustee, one of the first things that I would do is ask questions. When you look at WCC and you look at the budget hearings that are held, the trustees don't ask questions about the budget. And as a result, the administration at WCC does not present adequate information for the trustees to make decisions about all of the funds that WCC receives, including the $76 million that the college receives from Washtenaw County taxpayers. And so I would advocate for much more budget transparency during the budget approval process. And I would ask questions. I would also demand, for example, for several years in a row, WCC had a $300,000 maintenance budget for a 1.2 million square foot facility. That's 25 cents per square foot. And that's not acceptable. A facility of that size needs a maintenance budget that's, somewhere between $8 and $20 million. And so I would bring a form of accountability to the budget that is currently lacking. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Milshteyn?
Well, I respectfully disagree with Ms. Peck. Serving for the past 2 years on the Board of Trustees, I ask a lot of questions, and those questions don't necessarily come in the boardroom. We get our materials well in advance of our meeting, and I'm able to, at that point, ask questions, and not only of our administration, but of our community stakeholders. And so I ask lots of questions to make sure the budget that is being approved is one that's going to work for our community, for our students, and for all of our stakeholders. So it's not that we're sitting there blindly approving what the administration puts before us. We do take the time. We want to be informed before we make the actual decisions. And I would also say the numbers that Ms. Peck has provided, I would want to get a little bit more information because those are not 100% accurate. So I think we would need to get a little bit more information around that. But with regards to my experience of the $138 million budget, so I have served on multiple boards, including the National Association of Realtors, been a board member for the past 6 years of that organization, where the budget is much larger. And I've had the opportunity to review that budget. I've been a part of many committees as part of serving on that board. And I have substantial board experience outside of the National Association of Realtors. I've served on many other boards that have had substantial budgets. So I'm well equipped to review budgets. I'm not a finance person. That's not my background. but I know when to ask the right questions and to get the right information. And I'm not afraid to ask questions as well. I'm actually very good at making sure that once I make a decision on behalf of the stakeholders in our community, it's the one that I feel I'm confident in and the one that's going to be best for our college.
Thank you. Ms. Morton?
Yes, I'm agree with what Mr. Milshteyn said, up to a point where each board member has information given to us before our board meetings. And we look at all of what is given to us in our board packet. And one of the things, I am definitely not a financier, and I don't know anything about budgets, but I do know the budgets that we get from this institution. We have the finest, excuse me, one of the finest persons who handles all of our monies. And based on what we get, and I listen to what is being said, I've asked a lot of questions regarding our budget. Where's the money coming from and where's it going to? So I am up on it, but I don't know, I'm not that savvy in knowing about how to determine how much money is there or not. I do know based on what we get from the federal and state governments and from the city government. I know what we get from that because I look at it. The bonds I cannot speak to. I know what is being presented to us.
Thank you, and thank you, candidates. The next question will go to Mr. Milshteyn first. And the topic is around college ranking. In 2023, WCC was named the top Michigan community college in 2 independent rankings. What makes WCC special, and what is needed to maintain this ranking?
So I think there's a lot of things that make WCC special. WCC is really close to my heart, so that it's really hard for me to see negative in those rankings ever, because WCC is such an important institution to me and also to our community. But I will say there's a couple things that are really important to us. Number one, our community is what makes us one of the top colleges. The support that we receive, not only from our taxpayers, but from the corporate community, from the industry that we have here, from the unions that present their trainings here. That is what makes us one of the top community colleges. But there's another important factor of that. It's our faculty. We have some of the best faculty in Michigan, if not in the country, if not in the world. They're a very dedicated group of individuals who teach our students. And also, I have to comment, we have the best students as well. And I'm sure every community college says that, and every community college wants to tout that they have the best students and the best faculty, but we truly do. The presentations that we get from our faculty, the things that are happening on campus are phenomenal. And in order for us to compete and to be one of the top colleges in Michigan, what we need to do is we need to figure out a funding model that's going to support that for the future, not just for today, but for the future. And that means making sure that our faculty is well compensated, that we are providing the correct resources so that we can stay on top of all the technological advances. Technology is moving way faster than anyone has ever anticipated 10 years ago. And my sense is we're going to move even faster moving forward. For example, no one knew what AI or ChatGPT was really 3 years ago. And here we are. It's a big part of academia. It's a big part of our college. So it's investing into the future that's going to be most important to make sure that WCC has a bright future. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morton?
Could you repeat that question?
Of course. And it has to do with college ranking. In 2023, WCC was named the top Michigan community college in 2 independent rankings. What makes WCC special, and what is needed to maintain this ranking?
What makes the college special is based upon our faculty. They work very hard and they take they take their teachings to the heart of what needs to be done to teach the students. One of the things that I am so proud of in being on this board for 30 years now is that as long as I've been on the board, we have always been pushing to be the best. And one of the things that the board has done is to make sure that we do the best. We have a Center of Excellence in Nursing, the only community college in the nation besides universities. We have top IT. We have top programs. I can go on others that I can mention, but everyone, the professors, the managers, deans, even the president, they're all in tune to have a future program for each of our students so that they can come to our school to get this training that they need and that they want. We are close to them, no matter where they come from. They come to our school because they can get that education and that training at our school.
Thank you. Ms. Peck?
I think it would be very difficult to find a person who did not, at least in this area, who did not love WCC. We all seem to have a personal connection to WCC. It's an institution that the taxpayers in Washtenaw County have built over the last 60 years. And it is and always has been a real resource for the people of Washtenaw County. I think in order to maintain value for the taxpayers of Washtenaw County and for the students who attend WCC, WCC needs to focus on the needs of Washtenaw County. And in that regard, WCC, needs to focus on high wage, high demand programs because we have an issue of we have a real divide in terms of household income in different areas of the county, and WCC is ideally suited to address those. WCC is, a resource that the taxpayers fund extremely generously. WCC is one of the best funded taxpayer institutions, community college institutions in the state of Michigan. And so we need to be able to return value to the taxpayers so that they continue to support WCC on a financial basis. But we also, need to have programs that will allow us to retain our prime age workforce, our recent graduates here. And that means attracting new industries and new economic opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. The next question, and Ms. Morton, you'll be the first to respond. And the topic is around transferring students. WCC affords transfer opportunities such as the University of Michigan Transfer Bridges Program and the HBCU Pathway Program. What are the biggest barriers WCC students face in transferring to four-year universities, and how would you address this?
Well, I want to start out that WCC set up a partnership with Eastern Michigan University about close to 10 years ago, and it's called the 3+1 program. The students will do 3 years at our school and 1 year at Eastern and get a bachelor's degree. Our programs with Michigan varies in student transfers. Student transfers are based on if the student wants to go to that institution. And if they do, there's a smooth transition. I was one of a transfer because I did go to Washtenaw Community College back in the early 70s or late 70s, going back to school after moving back to Ann Arbor with my young children. So I know what that transfer is like and how it works now. Michigan is, in fact, not just Michigan, but we have other transfers to Central Michigan universities. We have quite a few different transferable programs besides the HBCU too. So we have a very good relationship. We work with the students and we work with these other colleges so that the students have the right credentials, they have the right programs, and they have everything that they need to transfer over. And another thing I want to say before I stop, excuse me, all of our students who leave our school and go into these universities, we have gotten rave reviews from these universities stating that our students are better prepared than the university students that are at their university. So this shows that how much our faculty work hard to make sure that our students are acceptable and have a smooth transition and have no problems in going to that school and taking their classes so that they can graduate. And I want to add another thing. Most of our students don't always want to go to another university. They want to do something else. And so they're looking at how they can.
Thank you, Ms. Morton. Your time is up, and we will go to Ms. Peck next.
Thank you. I think the issue of student transfer is a really important one. Both of my children started out at WCC and transferred to universities. Their experience was that while the credits transferred, they didn't always apply to the programs that my children were interested in taking. And so what tends to happen is that the community college transfer credits get applied to their transcripts, but they don't necessarily get applied to specific programs. This can cause financial aid problems later as they get closer to graduation at the university level. And so I think being able to target classes so that they apply specifically to the programs at the target university would be ideal. And I think that just making sure that students are academically prepared for the rigor of a university program is the best way that WCC can help transfer students succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peck. Mr. Milshteyn?
Thank you. So we've come a long way. When I graduated from WCC in the early 2000s, I had a really hard time transferring my credits to Eastern. I'm not even going to tell you the trouble I had to Michigan State. I tried, and it was very difficult for me to do so. But we've come a long way from that to now see that universities are seeking our students. They want to come on campus. They want to present to our students, is a big deal. So I think we've come a long way in providing a smoother roadmap for students to transfer. But I'm hopeful that we will continue to work on that over, forever. I should hope so, because I think it's important that we provide a smooth transition to our students. But I do agree with Ms. McKnight Morton, the 3+1 where students are able to attend, or the 3+1 program where students are able to attend Washtenaw for 3 years and finish at EMU. And we also have other partner institutions where they can continue to do the same. So 3+1 is not only exclusive to Eastern, we also have partnerships with other universities. And what we've created along with HBCU Day, where we have HBCU institutions attending campus, not only presenting to our students, but also offering scholarships. So what we need to do is we need to work with our institutions, not just in Michigan, but institutions where our students want to transfer to. We need to have the communication with them. And I think we need to create a smooth pathway for them to move on, if that is what they want to do. Not every student wants to transfer to another institution. So I think it's really important that we also make sure that we have people, and when I say people, our students, prepared for the workforce. But definitely those who want to transfer, we are creating a smooth transition for them, like we have over the past several years, especially since I was in high school 20 plus some years ago and transferring from WCC. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. And we are going to move to our final question before we get into closing statements. The last question first will go to Ms. Peck, and it's around the topic of talent recruitment at WCC. And the question is, community colleges lost 13% of employees nationally during the pandemic. What strategies should WCC pursue to attract top talent?
WCC should should aim to attract top talent, of course, in faculty. And one of the ways that you can attract top talent is by giving them the opportunity to develop new programs and new classes. And so I think making that opportunity available to faculty is one way to draw new faculty in. I think that WCC has an issue to address in terms of the size of its administration. The size of its administration is quite large, whereas the size of the faculty has been shrinking. And so I think WCC needs to take a very, very measured approach to increasing the size of its administration. And so I think ultimately recruiting top talent in faculty will not only allow WCC to appeal to a broader base of students, but it will also allow WCC to, engage in that economic development activity that I was talking about, where you can attract new employers and new industries to the area. In Onondaga, New York, and in Cleveland, Ohio, the community colleges there built semiconductor manufacturing programs, and as a result of those programs, we're able to attract semiconductor manufacturers who are willing to make billion-dollar investments there. And so I think it all starts with the faculty.
Thank you. Mr. Milshteyn?
Well, it's one of the things that we talk about at our board meetings on a fairly regular basis. Talent recruitment has been a challenge. I think the pandemic has wreaked havoc, and we're still trying to figure out what the new world is going to look like. We're seeing media reports just recently of big top companies requiring staff to come back to work into the office full time. And I think we are, just like everybody else, dealing with the same exact issue. There's one issue that's really difficult for WCC, and that is we are surrounded by the University of Michigan and Eastern Michigan University that has much larger budgets and offer better benefits and offer a lot of bells and whistles that we do our very best to compete. I do believe investing into our faculty and into our staff is imperative. And I will continue to fight for that to make sure that our faculty and staff is well rewarded and that we're able to not only retain, but also recruit those top individuals. The world is changing, as I mentioned, with AI. We are going to see a changing workforce, but this is our opportunity to invest into the right people to make sure that we are prepared. So an investment into our talent is going to be very crucial and something that I have and will continue to support.
Thank you. Ms. Morton?
Yes, that's a good question, and that has been a huge topic with all of the community colleges. I belong to the Michigan Community College Association Legislative Board and on Board of Directors. And we've been talking about this for years. But a lot of it has to do with retirement. Faculty have been at our schools since the time that they opened up, 30 and 40 years. People are retiring, 20 years, 15 years. So it's a lot of that. And then there's a lot of people who are just transferring or moving out to different jobs in different industries. But one of the things that I do want to say is that I can't speak for other community colleges, but I know what our school is doing. And Washtenaw Community College has always been in the mindset to reward our faculty. And yes, we do have a lot of, it looks like a lot of overhead, but it really isn't, because there's so many different areas that we have to look at. We have to look at new things that's coming down from the state. So we have to change up what we're doing, but we're also looking at how to constantly do faculty development. And we have programs for faculty development. We set up different ways to maintain our faculty as much as we can. And we do recruitment, but recruitment is difficult because we pay top wages for our faculty. But yet a lot of people want to not come to our school for various reasons. And that's something that is out of our control. But we do our best, and we constantly look at what is available. We listen to what the union is saying. We listen to what the faculty is saying. So we have to understand and try to meet what they feel is their challenges that they're going through.
Thank you, Ms. Morton, and thank you, candidates, for your responses to the community questions. We are going to move next to our closing statements, and we will begin with Mr. Milshteyn.
Thank you. I once again do want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting this on. This is such an important part of a campaign, and also this election that's coming up in November. My campaign promises, and my campaign stands for affordable tuition. I want to make sure that WCC continues to have affordable tuition for our residents. We are an amazing institution, but part of the reason why we're amazing is because we're able to keep our tuitions in line and keep them very low. And that is going to be my goal. The other important part is it's not about just tuition. It's also about student success. So once students start attending classes, I want to make sure that they are successful, that we have the right resources, that students have access to the right counseling, that they have the right opportunities in order to be successful. So it's not just about them attending and paying for tuition. It's also about them being successful while they're in school, and also after they graduate or move on to the workforce. The other important piece is our community. We must listen to our community, and I want to assure our community that I will listen to everything you have to say. Our stakeholders are incredibly important, and I'm very grateful for the support they've given me thus far. And I will make sure that our community is heard, that it benefits our students, and that anything our community needs will be reflected in what WCC does. So I want to thank everybody. I also would like to thank the Washtenaw County Democratic Party for their endorsement. And I look forward to the election this November. And I'd like to thank Lauren for your work as the moderator. And I do want to thank the other candidates this evening who are on the Zoom. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Peck?
Thank you. Washtenaw Community College has been an outstanding resource for Washtenaw County. To remain true to its mission, WCC must focus on meeting the needs of Washtenaw County residents. Washtenaw County is one of the most expensive places to live in Michigan, and we need academic programs with appropriate income potential and opportunity potential moving forward. WCC's focus must be on growing its student enrollment instead of growing the size of its administration. Washtenaw County voters have been unbelievably generous to WCC, and we must use that generosity to address the growing income disparities in households in eastern, southern, and far western Washtenaw County. We must also prepare for the monumental changes that our county will face in the approaching decades if enabling all residents of Washtenaw County to prosper is important. We cannot do that without a diversity of voices at the WCC board table, without strategies that will support economic development and growth, and without addressing the academic and economic needs of the entire county. WCC cannot pursue the same strategies that it has employed in the past because they do not distribute prosperity equitably to our households and will not preserve Washtenaw County as a place of opportunity for prime age workers and recent graduates. And thanks again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this candidate forum.
Ms. Morton, would you like to make a comment on your closing statement, please?
Okay. I just want to say this is that, as I mentioned before, that I've been on this board for 30 years and I came on this board for a reason. And that is because I was treated very kindly and nice and helpful. Everyone that was at the school at that time when I came on in 1974, and still today, I feel that everyone at that institution is very knowledgeable in what they do with our students. And we are, as a board, a unified board, is very cognizant of what the community feels and thinks that we need to do. And we try to keep up with what's going on in the new world right now. We have programs that are coming down, that has come down through the state. We're doing a lot to ensure that these students and our community are going to be serviced to the maximum of what we can do.
Thank you so much, candidates. And on behalf of the League of Women Voters, I wanted to thank you so much for participating in this forum. It was very much appreciated. Thank you.
The League thanks the candidates and volunteers who participated in today's forum and the community members who submitted questions. Please urge others to view our forums. And most importantly, please vote in the November 5th general election, either by absentee ballot or in person.